Hello, my dear future chat accountants. Good morning to each and every one of you. First of all, can you please confirm that my voice is audible and the PPT is visible? Is my voice audible and the PPT visible? Are you able to hear my voice? Is the PPT visible? Are you able to hear my voice? Is the PPT visible? Okay. I think now it's fine. I think we can begin now. Okay. So we were doing upgradation classes on FR. We finished on Ind AS 1, that is basics, and Ind AS 34, that is interim financial statements. And today we are going to do cash flow statement, Ind AS 7. First of all, I assume you have already know the background of Ind AS 7 because I'm directly going for the problems which are being added in the study material. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, this is the first question. I think you have the material. Yes. An entity has entered into factoring arrangement and received money from the factor. Examine the said transaction and state how it should be presented in the statement of cash flows. So this problem, first of all, requires your understanding on factoring arrangement. What is basically a factoring arrangement? So you have a seller and there is a buyer, and buyer will not make the payment immediately. He will make the payment after certain period, that is called as credit period. But the seller wants the money in advance. He don't want to wait till the end. So what he goes to a person called as factor, factoring. You would have done in your intermediate level also. He provides two kinds of services. One, he will collect the money on behalf of you and he will make the payment to you. That is one kind of service he provides. And the other is advance service. Against the receivables, he gives you the amount of money in advance for which he charge interest. So he collects two types of fees. One is fees for collection, that is for outsourcing service basically, and second is for giving advance. If you require, he will charge you interest. That's what is called as factoring arrangement. Basically, you can understand like a outsourcing arrangement. Now you have received the money from the factor, so that means I think there is a advance arrangement. So once you receive the money, how are you going to treat it? Actually, that depends, is also connected with financial instruments. So when you receive the money from factoring, will you de-recognize the receivables, or will you continue to take it as receivables? That depends on what type of arrangement it is. There are two types of arrangement. One is with recourse, and the other is without recourse. With recourse means he will make the payment to you now, for which you pay interest. But in case he is not able to collect the money from the buyer, basically bad debts, then you have to compensate the factor for the bad debts with recourse. That is, it can be back to you, it can backfire, it going back. Recourse is called as going back. So the money is coming to you, but you might have to give it back in case he's not able to collect the money from the buyer. In case of bad debts, you will be responsible, factor will not be responsible, which means risk and rewards are not transferred, so you cannot de-recognize. So journal entry will be, in this case with recourse, the journal entry will be bank account debit to, you don't say to debtors or you don't say to receivables, you say to financing arrangement, to loan receipt, loan from factor. Since it is received as loan, this will be part of financing activities. It will be part of financing activities. Okay, if it is without recourse means once you receive the money, there is no question of going back. The factor will ensure he will collect the money from the buyer. In case he is not able to collect the money, in that case, the money will be a default. In the sense, bad debts will have to be borne by the factor. He will not come back to you. You don't have to worry. Your money is guaranteed. Therefore, once you receive the money, no question of giving back. So it's not a financing arrangement. You can say bank account to debtors or to trade receivables. Of course, he might not have paid the entire money. Some portion would have been deducted, like discounting charges in case of bill discounting. I don't know the amount, but anyway. So the credit is not going for loan from factor. The credit is going for the amount received, or the debtor account is de-recognized. Significant risk and rewards are transferred, and if he collects more or if he collects less, that is a headache of factor. You are not involved. So your debtor account will be de-recognized. So this will be accounted as operating activities and not financing activities. This amount will be received like a receipt from debtors. This will be part of operating activities. So depending on the nature of the with recourse or without recourse, it may be considered as financing activity or operating activity in cash flow statement. You can write down this, and detailed answer is here. You can read through that. That's an institute solution, but this is your uh, this is your analysis. This is your chart presentation. You can write down, and if you have any doubts, you can let me know. Hope you've taken down. Okay, I'll move further. Okay, so let us move further. Next one, the relevant extracts of consolidated financial statements of A Limited are provided below. Consolidated statement of cash flows for the year ended 2002 2001. We have non-current assets, PPE, investment in associates, financial assets, current assets, inventories, trade receivables, cash and cash equivalents, liabilities, current liabilities, trade payables. Extract from consolidated profit and loss for the year ended 31st March 2002. Revenue, cost of goods sold, gross profit, other income, operating expenses, other expenses, interest expenses, share of profit from associate, profit before tax. The below information is relevant for A Limited Group. A Limited had spent rupees 30 lakh on renovation of building. A Limited charged the entire renovation cost to profit and loss account. On 1st of April 2001, A Limited acquired 100% shares in S Limited for cash of 300 lakhs. The fair value of the assets and liabilities assumed under the acquisition are as under. Property and equipment 140, inventory, trade receivables, cash and cash equivalent, total assets, less trade payables, net assets on acquisition. Observe one thing, on 1st of April, at the beginning of the year, you acquired the company 100% for 300 lakhs and the net assets is 200 lakhs. What do you think is the difference? Net assets acquired 200, but you paid 300. Net assets taken over 200 lakhs. Purchase consideration 300 lakhs. The difference is called as goodwill. A Limited's property and equipment comprise of the following: carrying amount on 4650 of 1st of April, addition cost including the assets in S Limited 800 lakhs, revaluation surplus 80 lakhs, disposal sale of assets 490 lakhs, depreciation for the year 290 lakhs, carrying amount of the 31st March 2002 4750 lakhs. That's a 4750. Yeah, that's what it is, 4750. Starting from 4650. Yeah, starting from 4650. A Limited constructed a machine that is qualifying asset and incurred construction cost of 40 lakhs that has been charged to other expenses. Of the interest cost 110 lakhs charged to profit and loss, rupees 10 lakhs includes interest or cost on specific borrowing that needs to be capitalized. Property, plant, equipment was sold for 630 lakhs. Gain on disposal is adjusted against operating expenses. A Limited purchased 30% interest in associate for cash on 1st of April 2001. The associate reported a profit after tax of 400 lakhs and paid a dividend of 100 lakhs for the year. Impairment test was conducted on 31st of March 2002. The following were impaired as under: goodwill impairment loss 265, intangible assets impairment loss 900. Goodwill impairment relates to 100% of subsidiaries. Assume the interest cost is all paid in cash. You record determine cash from operations of the group reporting for the purpose of for the year ended 31st March 2002. So cash flow statement, quite a few adjustments. They have not asked us to prepare complete cash flow statement. They have asked us to prepare cash flow from operating activities. In fact, that is the major one, right? What else we have? Cash flow from investing activity, cash flow from financing activity. That is hardly anything. Complications always arise in operating activity. And that's what they've asked. So just for 2 minutes, read the entire problem again. Try to get the facts in your mind. I will discuss after that. So please read the question for 2 more minutes. Okay. Now, okay. Hope you have read it. So before we start, the format, we start with like maybe increase in reserves and surplus. We used to say when we are used to find out difference between two balance sheets. Or typically, practically, we start with profit before tax. But before we start with profit before tax, we need to do some adjustments. Why some adjustments? Because there are some errors. What errors? For example, they spent 30 lakhs. They have spent 30 lakhs on renovation of building. A Limited charged the entire renovation cost to profit and loss account, which is a mistake, right? Because this expense should be capitalized, should not be taken to P&L account. So what we should do? These kind of mistakes we will rectify it first. Let's do it as a working note. Then we'll prepare the regular format of cash flow from operating activities. Okay, so working notes. What you require is for whatever adjusted profit. We need to make the adjustments. Corrected profit. I will say we need adjusted profit before tax. That is the purpose. Let's start with what they have given. So profit before tax given, profit before tax given 1840. Okay. So one by one adjustments. Let's go in that order only. Renovation expenses, they charge the entire renovation cost to P&L. That is charged means already subtracted. If you eliminate, we will add it back. So add back renovation charges to be capitalized. Renovation charges to be capitalized. 30 lakhs rupees in lakhs. Renovation charges to be capitalized. On 1st of April, they've acquired. Okay, that will come in the statement separately. We'll take it. We'll not worry about it now. Goodwill and all will come separately. Eliminates property additions, reserves and surplus, disposal, depreciation again. Those things will take it separately. No need to worry about it now. A Limited constructed a machine qualifying asset incurred in construction cost of 40 lakhs charged to other expenses. That is also a mistake. That also need to be rectified. Therefore, we'll add back that also. Construction expenses, construction of machinery, right? Machinery construction expenses charged to other expenses. So add back machinery construction expenses again to be capitalized. Machinery construction expenses to be capitalized. We are having 40 lakhs. Okay, and they also said it is a qualifying asset, and of that, therefore, interest cost charged 110 lakh. 10 lakh includes interest on specific borrowing that needs to be capitalized. So interest cost also taken to P&L 10 lakh that also need to be capitalized. So that also I will add back. Add interest cost to be capitalized 10. Okay, so what you get here, my dear friends, 1840 plus 30, 40, 10. These are all not going to be part of regular problem because these are errors. These are mistakes which are rectified. So these are rectifications. Therefore, this will not be part of cash flow statement regular format. This is going to be working note. So what is the adjusted profit before tax? 1840 plus 30 plus 40 plus 10. 1920. 1920. Okay. So we have done till here 1920. Now let's start our regular format, cash flow from operating activities. First cash flow statement, but we don't have to prepare full cash flow statement. We just have to prepare only cash flow from operating activities. Cash flow from operating activities. Again, point of caution. This renovation charges, machinery construction expenses, interest cost to be capitalized is again going to be part of investing activities. That will be subtracted. Investing activities, renovation cost, machinery construction, interest cost as a part of it. So those things will be subtracted in investing activity, but we are not asked here, so we are not writing. I'm telling you for your reference. Okay. Okay. No other thing requires any rectification. Let's start with cash flow from operating activities. So what the format is going to be, remember, we start with profit before tax. A starting point will be profit before tax. How much it will be? Rupees in lakhs. What we just calculated, adjusted one, which is 1920. We are going to do lot of adjustments, and last line will be less income tax paid, if any. Is information is there here for income tax? I think nothing is there in this problem. We don't have any tax information. We just have profit before tax. Okay. So, but if you have any, last line would have been tax paid, if any. In this problem, nothing is there. And then, in between, we should do adjustment for working capital. Working capital, adjustment for working capital changes. Adjustment for working capital changes. Okay. So what and all we are going to make an adjustments before working capital changes. Very simple to understand. What is the name of the heading? Cash flow from operating activities. If it is non-operating, that should be eliminated. If it is non-cash, that should be eliminated. Simple. It is cash from operating activities. So if it is non-cash item, that should be taken out. If it is non-operating, that should be taken out. It might be investing or financing. We will be taking under appropriate heads. So where do we start from? Let's start from, okay, let's look at the P&L account itself. So easy for us to remove. We are starting from profit before tax. So if I go backwards, share of profit from associate, 120. This is like investing activity, because when you purchased, I mean, you will be showing investment in associates, right, as part of investing activity. So income from associate also will be part of investing activities. In fact, only amount received should be investing activities. This is more of a non-cash because it's a share of profit. You have not really received it. So this should be eliminated. Eliminated means this should be subtracted. Where how much we have? They acquired 30% interest. The share of profit after tax 400 lakhs. Okay, 400 lakhs into 30%, which is what is 120. See, numbers are matching. 400 lakhs is the associate's profit. Your share 30%. 400 into 30%, 120. And therefore, that will be subtracted. So, less share of profit from associate, 120. Why it is minus? Because to arrive at such net profit, it would have been added, and to eliminate, I am subtracting. Why I am subtracting? Because it is not an operating income, it is an investment income. And that too, you have not received entire 120, you would have received only dividend of 100. So this will come in the investing activity. Here we are not writing, but if you prepare investing activity, there you write dividend received from associate 100 lakhs. Where will you write? In the investing activity you write. Okay. So this one point I have written. I'm just going in the P&L account only, so easy for me to do it. Interest expenses, should I eliminate? Yes, interest expense I need to eliminate because these are financing activities. And how much? 110. No, don't take 110. Out of 110, 10 I've already capitalized, which means I've already eliminated 10. So don't take 10. Balance, that is 110 minus 10, 100 need to be added. So I'll add back interest because it is going to be part of financing activities. So interest cost 110. Out of 110, 10 is already capitalized. So minus 10. So balance 100 is going to be part of that balance 100 is going to be part of financing activities. There we subtract and here we add. In financing activities also we subtract 100 only. Why? Because the 10 we already capitalized, and capitalized means it is going to be taken in investing activities. Understanding the concept, 110, 10 we capitalize, so it will be subtracted in investing activities, 100 will be subtracted in financing activities. Okay, going back to the P&L account format, other expenses is fine, operating expenses is fine, gross profit is fine, cost of goods sold is fine. Okay, let's go for informations now, one by one. A Limited spent 30 lakhs on renovation. We already considered. You acquired 100% of the shares in A Limited for cash of 300. Okay, you get goodwill. That's not a problem. Uh, Additions to cost will be part of investing activities. Revaluation surplus, not a cash flow at all. Disposal or sale. Okay, let's do information relating to this. Okay, depreciation. Depreciation 290 lakhs. It's non-cash expense, so we should add back. So depreciation will add back 290 lakhs being non-cash. We'll add back depreciation 290 lakhs. Then disposal. Disposal means we would have taken either a profit or loss to the P&L account. They are not told specifically, but we need to calculate. If it was a profit, we need to subtract because it would have been added earlier. If it is a loss, we need to add back because it would have been subtracted earlier. Got it? Let's see what happened. 290 disposal 490 lakhs. So this will be cost of sale. Disposal, because what you're subtracting from the cost, because you're showing clearly the cost as a closing balance, this would be the cost of the sale. And they have sold it for 630 lakhs. So cost is 490 lakhs, sold for 630 lakhs. It is a profit, and profit would have been added. They said adjusted against operating expenses, but anyway, that you don't worry. It would have been taken to P&L account as an addition because of profit. So to eliminate, we need to subtract. So minus gain on disposal. Revaluation surplus, you don't worry about it because revaluation surplus is not added in this profit before tax. It's part of OCI. So there is no question of any subtraction here. Only if it was added earlier, that needs to be subtracted. Or if it was subtracted earlier, that needs to be added. So gain on disposal, 630 minus 490. 140. Right? So that is done. And if you prepare investing activities, what and all you're going to take? Additions, 800 lakh will come in investing activities. Revaluation surplus will not come. Disposal 490 lakhs plus gain or 630 lakhs will come in investing activities as an inflow. And depreciation will not come, and that's all. Okay. But in the additions, one adjustment to be done. I'll explain what is that. Okay. Okay. Hope you written till here. Let me know if you have any doubts until here. Okay. I will no doubts. I'll go further. So gain on disposal we have done. Let's look for any other adjustments. This slide is done. Purchase 30% interest. I already told you. 400 lakhs 30% we already subtracted. And paid a dividend. Mean associate paid dividend you received it. and this will be part of your finance investing activities, dividend receipt, investing income. Impairment test is there. Goodwill impairment 265 lakh, intangible assets impairment 900 lakhs, and that would have been taken to P&L account, assuming it. They have not shown where it is exactly. In the P&L, other expense, maybe it might be part of it, I don't know, but it would have been taken to P&L. So, right, this impairment, goodwill impairment of 265, intangible impairment of 900 would have been taken to P&L, so I need to add back. So, I'll add back impairment of goodwill and intangible assets impairment. Goodwill impairment added back. It would have been subtracted. Now we are adding back. Goodwill impairment, non-cash expenses. That's why. Then intangible assets impairment. Goodwill impairment, so 265 and 900. You can do one subtotal if required. We do it practically. Cash flow before working capital changes. But anyway, from exam point of view, we can continue. Okay. Hope you're done. Okay. Let's do working capital changes. For working capital change, you have to be extra careful. I'll tell you why. First reason, 2002 column they have given first, 2001 column they have given next. So you can confuse between increase and decrease. So inventories, if I take it for example, 1550 and 1900 actually decreased. 1900 became 1550. But if you read from left to right, your interpretation can be opposite. Just be careful. The latest column is current year. The next column is previous year. So read from right to left. Okay. So let's look at the current assets inventories. Now 1900 has become 1550. 1900 has become 1550. That means inventory decreased. Now, decrease in inventory, decrease in current assets. How it should be treated in cash flow statement? Do you remember basics in the intermediate? Now, I don't know how you remember. I remembered like this. Cash is an asset. Current asset is also an asset. For you to tally the balance sheet, if one asset decrease, the other asset should increase. Correct? Because current asset is an asset, cash is an asset. So if inventory, for example, if inventory reduces, cash should increase. That's why the balance sheet should tally, right? Whereas liability reduces, the cash being an asset should reduce. Reduction in asset is reduction in cash. Increase in liability is increase in cash. Anyway, reduction in asset is increase in cash, because when asset reduces, the other asset should increase. Anyway, how do you understand? How do you remember is left to you. This is not the time to explain those concepts. To tell you the facts quickly, when the current assets like inventory reduce, that is like inventory sold. Data reduce, like debtors collected. So in those cases, the cash will increase. So if current asset reduce, cash will increase. Everything else is opposite. So current assets reduce, cash increase. Current asset increase, cash reduce. Liability increase, cash reduce. Liability reduce, cash reduce. Remember this much. Hope you remember it. Okay, so inventories 1900 became 1550. Inventory reduced, so it's going to be a decrease in inventory. That means it's going to be a plus. But one small point you need to keep it in mind. A Limited acquired 100% of the shares in S Limited for a cash of 300 lakhs. Now, this 300 lakhs will be part of which activity? Can you tell me? Let's see if you can tell me this by way of chat. This amount you paid 300 lakhs. You paid 300 lakhs will be part of which activity? You have acquired company by paying 300 lakhs. Which activity it's going to be part of it? It will be part of investing activity, right? Correct. It will be part of investing activity. Okay. Now, if that is part of investing activity, what is this 300 actually comprise of? 300 comprise of 200 net assets and 100 goodwill. Right. So, these 300 or all these items should be part of investing activities, which means these items such as trade receivables, inventories, cash and all should not be part of working capital changes, should not be part of operating activities. Correct? Therefore, it's not financing activity, my dear friend. You have invested. When you make an investment, it's investing activity. You have acquired the shares. You have for a cash. You have paid cash. Therefore, it is investing activities. Since these are all going to be part of investing activities, they should not be part of operating activities. If you consider 300 lakhs also, and if you include these things also, that's going to be duplication. So to remove the duplications, what we do, when I analyze increase or decrease in trade receivables, inventory, these current liabilities, I'm going to eliminate what is acquired as a part of acquisition. So my closing balance 1550, from that I'm going to subtract 60 lakhs. Or for the opening balance 1900, I can add. Both way it is same. For the 1900, I can add 60, then compare 1550. Or from 1550, I can subtract 60 and find out the balancing figure. Both ways it is same. Okay, so what we are going to do is this. Working capital changes, inventory decrease, right? So decrease, it's going to be added. Decrease in inventory. So how do we calculate the decrease in inventory? Normally we calculate closing balance minus opening balance, right? Now in that opening balance, you can add what is acquired or you can subtract in the closing balance. Both are same. So closing balance minus, you do opening balance plus what is acquired. Or I'll subtract from closing balance. Both are same. From the closing balance, you can subtract, or for the uh, what is that? Oh, you can or for the closing balance you can subtract, or for the opening balance you can add. Both way impact is same. Way to get the material? Not able to find Telegram channel. I don't know which Telegram channel you are searching. My Telegram channel is at ch in my Hegde. It's there at the bottom. You should be able to find out. Okay, anyway, so let me move further on this. So what is the closing balance amounts of inventory? Closing balance amount of inventory is 1900, opening 1550. 1500, opening, closing, sorry, I forgot. 1550 is closing. 1900 is opening. Plus what is acquired? What is acquired? Inventory 60 lakh. So basically 1900 has become 1550. So you are going to do minus 60 in reality. 1900 plus 60 minus 1550. I think 410. Have you shared today's material? I shared entire material. I am not sharing the material day by day. It's the entire material. I don't know what else I can share it. Okay. So I get 410. Decrease. So I'm going to add it 410. Again, what this is going to be, this will be part of investing activities. When I say acquisition of subsidiary, that amount of 300 will include this also, and that is why effectively I am eliminating from this section. Same thing I'm going to do for others also. Hope you understand. Debtors, trade receivables, 1800 has become 1250. This also again decreased. Decrease in trade receivables. 1800 has become 1250. But I am not going to take not only 1250, I'll also take the acquired. What is acquired? Debtors acquired, trade receivables 30 lakhs plus 30. 520 lakhs. This is a decrease, means increase in cash flow. So I'm adding it. Sorry, opening balance is 1800. Sorry, okay. Sorry, I did the wrong thing. Opening balance is 1800. So it is 1250 minus 1800 plus 30. You get 580, not 520, 580 you get. Okay, good. So decrease in inventory we got, decrease in trade receivable we got. What else we will be writing? Cash and cash equivalent, you don't worry. Trade payables. Okay, trade payables 50 lakhs is acquired. Trade payables has become what? 3610 became 1550. This decrease is going to be subtracted. Decrease in current liability is decrease in cash flow. So decrease in trade payables will be subtracted. Decrease in trade payables. So you do closing minus opening, and while opening you need to add what is acquired also. So closing is 1550 minus opening 3610 plus what is acquired 50. 2110. This is going to be subtracted. Decrease in current liability is decrease in cash. 2110. Okay. I think we don't have any tax paid. 0. You can compute the cash flow from operating activities. Cash flow from operations. 1920 minus 120 plus 100 plus 290 minus 140 plus 265 plus 900 minus 410, sorry, plus 410 plus 580 minus 2110. 2095. This is cash flow from operating activities. They have not asked us to prepare the full cash flow statement. Of course, complicated part was this only. And also they have not given the full data for us to prepare the cash flow statement. However, for understanding these concepts, I will prepare extract of investing activity and extract of financing activity relevant for these adjustments at least. So I will not prepare the net cash flow, but to make you understand other concept, I'll quickly prepare the extract of investing activity, extract of operating activity, just for understanding purpose. Before that, you have any doubts in these calculations, especially this one? This what is acquired, that needs to be adjusted. So basically, you're understanding what is happening. Uh, anyway, so decrease in inventory, decrease in trade receivables, in trade payables, working capital changes, that should not include what is acquired. So you can subtract in the closing balance or you can add in the opening balance. Both impact mathematically will be same. So are you clear about these things? Any doubts in these adjustments? Shall I go for investing and financing activities? Extract, not complete. We don't have details. Extract. Okay. Hope you got these points. Important point is the while doing working capital changes, you should eliminate the assets and liabilities which are part of acquisition. Okay, fine. Now, I'll just prepare extract of investing and financing and extract only. Okay. So, investing activity extract, financing activity extract. Because I don't know the full-fledged thing. Investing activity extract. Extract only because we don't have the full data. Then financing activities, I'll say cash flow from investing activity. Cash flow from investing activity extract cash flow from financing activity, extract. Okay. Can you give me some idea? What and all will be part of investing activities? So many. Can you name a few? Okay. Purchase of associates. Was it acquired during the year? A Limited purchased the associate for cash on 1st of April 2001. How much? Here it is not given, but they have given. Interesting. Investment in associates 800. Correct? Can you tell me what is the cost of investments? What is the cost of associate purchased? Again, they have not asked the problem. I'm going one step extra. Yes, disposal of fixed assets will come. Yes, investment in subsidiary also will come. I'll do those things. But this associate part is interesting. Can you tell me how much will be the value of investments acquired in associates? Okay. Uh, Again, this requires understanding of consolidation. This requires understanding of Ind AS 28. This requires understanding of equity method of accounting. And that is why I told you to solve these problems, you need to have a background of consolidation. So these are next level of problems. But anyway, it's not 800 because 800 is the closing balance, right? Investment in associates. So I'll just show it to you. Equity method of accounting for investment in associates. Equity method of accounting for associates. Equity method of accounting for associates. If you don't know this, so please refer or please watch Ind AS 28 understanding. You understand that investment and associates, how to do accounting, and then come back and revisit this problem. This point, what I'm telling you, you'll be able to understand. This problem is covered here because this is not asking investing activity. So this point was not required. But I'm going one level further. So in case you don't know this, once you're done with investment and associates, come back and listen to this point, you'll understand. So you will write this investments, whatever cost of investments, then you add share of profits from associate, minus you subtract, which is dividend received from associate. And this amount is what you show it in the balance sheet, and which is happened to be 800 lakhs. And you received a dividend of 100 lakhs, I believe. And share of profit is 120. So you added a share of profit of 120. You subtracted dividend received of 100. After that, you got 100. So what should be your cost of investment? If you work backwards, 800 plus 100 minus 120. That is, should be 780, right? So if you are preparing investing activities, if you say cost of acquisition of associate, you should say 780, not 800. 800 is given the balance sheet after adjusting these two items. You require pre-knowledge of Ind AS 28 equity method of accounting. If you don't know that, for the time being, you can write this part. Okay, hope you written. So you will write investing activity, acquisition of shares in associate 780. Then this is going to be outflow. Dividend received from associate 100. That's going to be inflow. So plus 100. Okay. Then what else you're telling? Disposal of fixed assets, investment in subsidiary. Okay. Investment in subsidiary, I'll write down. Investment in subsidiary or acquisition of shares in subsidiary. Investment in subsidiary. Acquisition of shares in subsidiary. How much acquisition of investment in say subsidiary? You paid for how much you paid? 300 lakhs. Here is one more interesting point. Now, please tell me 300 lakhs is outflow or inflow? Please tell me. 300 lakhs for the company, is it outflow or is it inflow? It is outflow. Outflow of cash, right? Correct. And tell me, this cash and cash equivalent 20 lakhs, is it outflow or inflow? Cash and cash equivalent 20 lakhs is there, right? As a part of assets acquired, net assets on acquisition. Tell me that 20 lakh, is it outflow or inflow? That 20 lakhs as a part of net assets. That is inflow, right? You are acquiring inventory, you are acquiring trade receivables, you are acquiring cash and cash equivalent. Are you understanding what I'm trying to tell? You are having outflow of 300 lakhs cash, inflow of cash 20, which means there is cash for cash. Now, if it is cash for cash transaction or non-cash and non-cash transaction, it will not be part of cash flow statement. Remember, right? When you acquire fixed asset, I issue shares. I acquire investments, I issue shares. Non-cash will not be part of cash flow statement. Similarly, cash for cash will also not be part of cash flow statement because there is no cash flow, right? You acquired cash, you paid cash. Therefore, you are writing net amount only 300 minus 20. When you're writing cash flow from investing activity, should write 300 is the purchase consideration paid in cash minus 20 cash acquired. You should write only 280. If shares are issued, then what would have happened? This will be non-cash for non-cash. But to the extent of 20, it is cash received against the shares issued. This will come in financing activity. Okay. Anyway, if this is paid in cash, that's why 300 is coming. If it is not paid in cash, this 300 would not have come here. Okay, fine. Acquisition of shares and subsidiaries done. Then let's talk about acquisition of fixed assets, disposal of fixed assets. Acquisition of fixed assets and disposal of fixed assets. Okay. Acquisition of fixed assets is how much? Acquisition of fixed assets is, they have given additions 800 lakhs. But will I take this 800 lakhs additions? No. 800 includes, they also said, including assets in Nest Limited for 40 lakhs. Just like working capital changes, I took it out, right? Because it's part of investing activities, part of cost of acquisition of shares in subsidiary. Similarly, any other asset, for example, property, plant, equipment, 800 includes 140, that also to be eliminated, only balance will come. So 800 minus 140, 140 part of acquisition will not come in investing activity because 140 is part of this 280, right? Hope you got it. 660 outflow. Disposal, I think that is directly given, 630. No need to take gain separately. This 630 includes gain also. Anything else will come in investing activity based on the information what we have. We have some more information. Can you identify what is that? Some more informations are there regarding investing activities. If you look at the working note, you'll get the idea. Okay. Let me show you that. See, renovation charges to be capitalized, machinery construction expense along with interest to be capitalized, those also will be part of investing activities. So renovation charges capitalized 30, that's also part of investing activity. Renovation charges 30. Then machinery construction, I'm not sure whether you can see my handwriting, I don't have space. Machinery construction 40 plus 10 interest. 40 plus 10, right? 40 plus 10, you get 50. These are all outflows. Again, you subtract. Anyway, financing activity, we only have information for interest paid. 110 was there, but 10 we already taken as part of investing activity. This 10 is already there. So we already taken as part of investing activities. So balance 100 will be outflow in financing activity. Okay. So we don't have other informations, but what are information relevant, that is to be discussed, I have done in this problem. So even if they ask full-fledged problem, I hope you will be ready. Okay. So let's go further then. I hope you don't have any doubts in this one. Okay, fine. Let's go further. Okay, next problem. So next one. Company A acquired 70% equity stake in company B on July 20th, 2001. The consideration paid on this transaction is as below. Cash consideration of 15 lakh, 2 lakh shares having face value of 10, fair value of 15 per share. On the date of acquisition, company B had cash and cash equivalent balance of 2,50,000 in its books of account. On October 10, 2002, company A further acquired 10% stake in company B for cash consideration of 8 lakh. Advise how the above transactions will be disclosed or presented in the statement of cash flows as per Ind AS 7. Okay. So what does the answer says? So much information is there. Let me quickly read along with you. Then if you don't understand, I'll explain. As per para 39, aggregate cash flow arising from obtaining control of subsidiary shall be presented separately and classified as investing activities. Correct? When you obtain the control, it will come under investing activities. When you acquire a subsidiary, it will come under investing activities. As per para 42 of Ind AS 7, aggregate amount of cash paid or received as consideration for obtaining subsidiaries reported in statement of cash flow, net of cash and cash equivalent acquired or disposed of as a part of such transaction, events or changes in circumstances. Further, investing and financing transactions that do not require the use of cash and cash equivalent shall be excluded from the statement of cash flows. Such transactions shall be disclosed elsewhere in the financial statement by way in a way that provides relevant information about these investing and financing activities. Okay, they have given, but what is simple understanding? When you acquire a subsidiary company, you are going to issue shares. You are going to make payment, and that's what is called as purchase consideration. So from an investor point of view, purchase consideration goes out, net assets comes in. Now in purchase consideration, if cash is there, if net assets acquired also cash is there, PC one part is cash and net assets one part is cash. Isn't it that against the cash going out, cash coming in, a cash for cash transaction? That should not be forming part of cash flow statement. So in the given case, you have a cash consideration of 15 lakh and that includes cash balance of 2,50,000, which means how much should come in investing the activity? Not 15 lakh. 15 lakh goes out, 2,50,000 coming in. So there is a cash of cash for 2,50,000. So from 15 lakh, you take out 2,50,000. Balance 2,50,000 is what should be part of. That's what they are trying to tell. It should be on net of cash and cash equivalent, net amount. That's what they're trying to tell here. As per para 42A of Ind AS 7, cash flow arising from changes in ownership interest in subsidiary. They're talking about subsequent acquisition. Changes in ownership interest in subsidiary that do not result in loss of control shall be classified as cash flow from financing activities unless subsidiary is held by investment entity as defined in Ind AS 110 and is required to measure at fair value through profit and loss. Such transactions are accounted for equity transactions, and accordingly the resulting cash flows are classified in the same way of any other transaction with owners. So, I don't know what you understood by this sentence. Let me explain. Let me explain. Okay. You are a company. You are a company. You are having shares of 1 lakh. 10 each. You are having share capital of 10 lakh. You issue some 10,000 shares. You required some money or you buy back. Can you tell me which activity it will be part of? Are you understanding the point? You are having shares of 1 lakh. You issue additional 10,000 shares or you do buyback. Which activity will you report this? Issue of shares or buyback of shares? Normal activity I'm asking. Will you report it as investing? Will you report it as operating? Or will you report it as financing? Issue of shares or buyback of shares? Which activity will you consider it as? Obviously, you will take it as financing activity, right? Issue of shares, buyback of shares, raising loan, all those things will be part of financing activities. Similarly, in consolidation, in a group, you are having, let's say, 70% ownership, you take 10% more ownership. Is your control changed now? 70% also controlling interest, 10% more you get also control only. So control did not change. And if you remember, in consolidation, goodwill will not change as per Ind AS. As per AS changes. But as per Ind AS, goodwill is not changed when the control is not affected. If 80% you acquire 10, it becomes 90%. Or 80% you sell 10%, it becomes 70%. So acquisition or disposal, the control is not changed. If control is not changed, it is not going to affect investing activity. It will affect only financing activity. That's what they're telling here. Cash flows arising from changes in ownership interest. Yes, 70% becoming 80 or 70% becoming 60. There is a change in ownership interest. Do not result in loss of control. Control is not changed, right? 80 becoming 90, 80 becoming 70. You're still a controller. Control is not changed. In those cases, it should be part of financing activities. Exception is there. If it is an investment entity means we don't do consolidation also. And therefore, it will be part of investment. After all, the name is investing entity. If you make any change, it will be part of investments. Investing entity, after all, consolidation process don't apply. Hope you get the point. So what they are trying to tell you is this: you have acquired 70% earlier, got the control, and now you took additional 10% stake by paying cash consideration of 8 lakh. That additional 10% stake what you have taken is not resulting in change of control. Ownership change is there, control is not changed. Therefore, it will be part of financing activities. You made the payment, it will be subtracted in financing activities. Let's read what they're telling. Considering the above financial year, the total consideration of 15 lakh less 2 lakh 50,000 will be shown as an investing activity, acquisition of subsidiary, net of cash. I explained. There will not be any impact of issuance of shares as consideration in the cash flow statement. However, a proper disclosure will be given elsewhere in the financial statements by provides that all the relevant information about the issuance of equity shares for non-cash consideration. Okay, what this point is all about? you're issuing shares and you're giving cash. What you're getting is plant property equipment, what you're getting is trade receivables, what you're getting is inventory, what you're getting is cash. So cash for cash, net amount we report it. Cash minus cash, net amount we report. But issue of shares and getting PPE, getting trade receivables, getting inventory, issue of shares is non-cash, getting trade receivables also non-cash, getting PPE is non-cash, getting intangible assets is non-cash. So non-cash will not be reported in cash flow statement. But disclosure will be required elsewhere. As per Schedule 3, any shares issued for a consideration other than cash, like bonus shares and all, will be reported. Like that, you will report this issue of shares also. But issue of shares being non-cash, consideration being non-cash, both of them will not come in cash flow statement. That's what this point is all about. Further, a statement of cash flows for the year ended 31st March 2003. Cash consideration paid for the acquisition of additional 10% stake will be shown under financing activities. Control is not changed. Therefore, it will not come in investing activities. It will come in financing activities. Suppose you had 80% and you sell 60%. Balance 20% remains. That means the control is no longer there. So you need to de-recognize investments in subsidiary, and therefore in those cases it will come in investing activities like a sales made. Acquisition of subsidiary when control is obtained, sale of subsidiary when control is given up. But here control is not changed. When control is not changed, the transactions, either acquisition or disposal, will be part of financing activities. Hope you got the point. Let me know if you have any doubt. Okay, I'll go further then. So along with the cash flow statement, we need to understand the concepts of uh, other things also. And that's what trend I'm seeing in latest examination questions and RTP, MTP questions. They're mixing the various standards. Ind AS 7, Ind AS 12, Ind AS 7, Ind AS 21. Like that, they're mixing the standards. Many questions I'm seeing. I hope these questions will help you tackle it in a appropriate manner. And let me go further. Okay, next one. Z Limited India has an overseas branch in USA. Oh, they're talking about India's 21 here. It has a bank account having USD balance of USD 7,000 on 1st of April 2019. During the financial year 1920, Z Limited acquired computers for USA for its office on USD 280, which was paid on the same day. There is no other transaction reported in USA or India. Exchange rate between INR and USD during the year 1920 were given April 19, November 19, March 20, average rate for 1920. Please prepare the extract of cash flow statement for the year ended 31st March 2020 as per the relevant Ind AS and also show the foreign exchange profitability from these transactions for the year 1920. Okay, so there is currency involved, exchange rate involved, and we also have cash flow statement involved. Okay, first let me do the simpler one. What is happening with respect to USD part? Let me think about it. Okay, So transaction in USD, USD alone, let's try to understand. Opening balance was 7,000. Opening balance 7,000. And you paid towards computer purchase or laptop, whatever it is, computer. Okay, computer purchase 280. Closing balance 6720. Okay, this is a transaction in USD. Now what you should do, think from Indian company point of view. Indian company point of view, that is, you have to convert into rupee terms. So if you're transacting in, if you're converting in rupee terms, converting in rupee terms, what is the conversion rate that you have to apply? Okay, conversion rate. Opening balance, you take the opening rate. Purchase date, that rate you take. Closing balance, you take the closing rate. So opening balance, what is the rate? Opening rate, when you're accounting in Indian terms, 70, opening balance 70. So 7,000 into 70, 4,90,000. 280. On this date, what is the rate? Uh, 280 into 71, right? 71 was the rate. 19,880. This is minus outflow. Closing balance you find out. What is the closing balance? I mean, this amount when you find out. Closing balance 71.5. Uh, 6720 into 71.5, 4,80,480. Now, does this tally this amount and this amount? 4,90,000 minus 19,880 is 4,70,120 and 4,80,480. Does it match? What you calculated at 70 rupees, what you calculate 71 rupees, and what you calculated 71.15 rupees. Does it match? Obviously, it does not match. And that's what we say foreign exchange difference. Foreign exchange difference. 10,360. Now, is it gain or loss? It is supposed to be 4,70,120 as per books. But you have to show 4,80,000, 480, the closing balance. So, closing balance is high. What reporting is high. The value of asset is high. When the value of asset is high, it's going to be gain. It's like debtors 10 rupee became 12 rupees. Increase in cash, increase in debtor is a gain. So, foreign exchange difference is a gain. Okay. This can also be analyzed in one more manner. Not required, but just for your understanding, I'll explain this. What is the breakup of this 10,360? What does it comprise of? Okay. So you see, we had 7,000 US dollar. Out of 7,000 US dollar, 6720 continue to be in closing balance also, right? So towards computer purchase, it is 280, and closing balance, it is 6720. I'm just giving the breakup. Opening balance was 7,000. Towards the purchase of computer is spent to 280, and closing balance became 6720. Now, if you want to understand the exchange difference, USD opening balance is valued at 70 rupees opening rate, and towards the computer purchased is valued at 71 rupee, which means you need to account as 1 rupee gain, right? This was 70, this is 71, so 1 rupee increased, so 1 rupee gain. So if you calculate, what will happen? 71 minus 70 whole multiplied by 280, you get 280. Similarly, when you valued the opening balance, it was 70, closing balance became 71.5. So what is the exchange difference? 71.5 minus 70, which means a 1.5 rupee gain for 6720. So if we calculate 71.5 minus 70 into 6720, 10,080. Now you add these two numbers, 10,080 plus 280, you will get 10,360. I hope you understood both the ways. One, by whatever the transaction wise and closing balance, balancing figure. The other is the actual breakup. Towards purchase of computers, what is the transaction difference, exchange difference arising out of that? And closing balance, what is the exchange difference arising out of that? Okay, fine. So we have calculated the amounts. Now let's see how it will be shown in cash flow statement. Okay, so cash flow statement. Let me write the format, overall format, hope you know it. Cash flow from operating activities, cash flow from investing activities, cash flow from financing activities. Then we add all the three, that we get is as net cash flow during the year. Then we add opening cash, we get the closing cash. Okay, now between net cash flow and add opening, there is one more thing will come, especially towards this foreign exchange difference. So you should write adjustment for foreign exchange difference. This is extra line item. Foreign exchange difference only towards cash equivalent. Foreign exchange difference. Okay, fine. I'll tell you what is that. Okay, now no other transactions is there. So this 10,360 gain would have been taken to P&L. So if no other information exists, no other transaction exists, when I say profit before tax, $10,360. 10,360 profit before tax. Now this 10,360, we should eliminate non-cash items. One of them is foreign exchange difference. Of course, in this problem, we only have foreign exchange difference. I will subtract. So minus foreign exchange gain difference, 10,360. So actually, what is cash flow from operating activities is 0. Financing activities, 0, no other information. We have something in investing activities because we have purchased computers. So purchase of computers, or you can say purchase of PP, plant property equipment. Purchase of computers. How much? Value 19,880. And outflow. This only will come in the outer column also. Okay. So net cash flow during the year 19,880. And one more point, this is a computer, non-monetary asset, so we don't revalue the asset. At the end of the year, we don't revalue it unless they follow revaluation model. We don't revalue this. Okay, anyway. And opening cash, what is opening cash and cash equivalent? Opening cash balance was 4,90,000. Opening cash 4,90,000. And closing cash, if I write, what is the closing cash balance we have calculated as per the closing rate? 4,80,480. 4,80,480. Now you see the amount will not match. If you do the column total, amount will not match. So what you should do? That foreign exchange difference will come. Whatever you subtracted earlier, that will be added now. That's called as a part of reconciliation. I repeat this once more. Opening cash USD we have. Closing cash USD we have. Cash equivalent. When that rate changes, for example, you have 1,000 US dollar, 60 rupees became 1,000 US dollar, 62 rupees. 2 rupee gain, you will take it to P&L, but that is unrealized gain. Because cash USD, you have not sold it. It is unrealized gain. Therefore, it has to be taken out from operating activities and put it in part of reconciliation after opening balance, before closing balance. In this case, it is a foreign exchange gain. So we subtract in operating activity, we add in reconciliation statement. If it was loss, I would have added in operating activities and subtracted in reconciliation statement. How much to be subtracted? The same amount, which is foreign exchange gain 10,360. Please add it 10,360. Now check, will you get the number? Minus 19,880 plus 4,90,000 plus 10,360. You get 4,80,480, perfectly tallied. So this is the adjustment towards foreign exchange gain or loss related to cash equivalent. I repeat the adjustment once more. When you have a foreign currency in cash and cash equivalents, be with your own cash or with respect to branch cash, both are same. What adjustment you are going to do? The changes in the value of cash is unrealized gain. Changes in the value of foreign currency is unrealized gain. So you take out from the operating activities and you put it in the reconciliation statement. If it was a loss, you add in operating activity, subtract in reconciliation statement. If it was a profit, like now, you subtract in operating activities, you add in reconciliation statement. And where the reconciliation statement comes? After opening balance, before closing balance. Realize there will be no adjustment, right? Absolutely right. Realize meaning debtors adjustments, because on debtor settlement, foreign exchange difference will come. Creditors adjustment, foreign exchange difference will come. Those are all realized gain or losses. So those things will continue to come in. Uh, Operating activity, we don't do any other adjustments. Only the exchange difference related to cash equivalent, like USD, what you have. Only for the cash equivalent, the foreign exchange difference should be part of reconciliation. Hope you get the point. Only related to the cash. All other assets will be taken in the operating activities or respective places. Only for cash equivalent, because it's cash we're discussing about. So it should come in cash, below cash, relevant for cash and cash equivalent in foreign currency terms. Hope you get the point. Okay, so this is the adjustment which is connecting the two standards, foreign currency and cash flow statement. Okay, I'll go further. Next. Okay, this problem is a very simple one. Still, we'll discuss. This is RTP June 2021 question. Simple one. Following from the following data, identify the nature of activities as per Ind AS 7. Okay, you have to classify whether it is operating, investing, or financing. Very simple, right? Let's do it together. Cash paid to employees. Payment to employees is a normal course of business. A normal course means it is operating activity. CFO, cash flow from operating activities. You know basics, right? Normal course of business, operating activity. If it is relating to the asset side of the balance sheet, then it is investing activity. If it is related to the liability side of the balance sheet, it is financing activity. If it is for source of funds, financing. If it is relevant for application of funds, then it is investing. Cash paid for development of property costs. Property, therefore it is asset side, investing activity. Borrowing repaid, borrowing related to the liability side, so financing activity. Cash paid to supplier, normal course of business, operating activity. Loan to director, loan to director or somebody else. Loan is loan given. It's an investment. So related to the asset side of the balance sheet, investing. Bonus shares issued. Bonus shares issued or shares issued for non-cash, right? Because there is no cash received, non-cash transaction. So it will not be part of cash flow statement. So it is non-cash. Dividends paid. Obviously, financing activities relevant for liability side. Financing activities, yeah, CFF. Cash received from trade receivables, normal course of business, operating activities. Proceed from sale of PP, sale of assets, so asset side, financing activity, CFI. Depreciation of PPE, it's non-cash, But if you want to do, I will add back in operating activity, but better we say depreciation. Transaction as such is non-cash. Advance received from customers. Advance received from customer, normal course of business, operating activity. Purchased goodwill. Goodwill purchase means payment made, I assume, in cash. So it will be part of investing activity, purchase of assets, investing activities. Payment of promissory notes. Promissory notes is like a loan taken and then repaid. So repayment of loan, liability side. So it is financing activities. Okay, I think that's all with respect to this problem. Okay, so that's it with respect to Ind AS 7 various kind of problems. Okay, so I was supposed to start with consolidation also in days 110. I think we only have 10 more minutes. It will not be right to start. I'll start fresh tomorrow. So we have done so far Ind AS 1, Ind AS 34, Ind AS 37. So basically, one segment. One more is there. I missed it. That's all right. You're asking me the question. Okay, I think that's your question, I think, right? Overdraft facility for working capital purpose. For working capital purpose, it will be a financing activities because that is treated like a loan. I mean, if it is a long-term kind of loan, it is not a temporary overdraft. If it is temporary overdraft, then you'll treat it as part of cash equivalent. If it is working capital overdraft, you'll take it as a part of short-term. I mean, you'll take it as a part of loan financing activities. You'll take it as a short-term loan financing activities. Otherwise, you'll take it as a part of uh, what you will take it as a part of cash equivalent. If it is a part overdraft gives negative positive, it will be part of cash equivalent. If it is for working capital purposes, it will be like a financing activities. Okay, so you have done Ind AS 1, Ind AS 34, Ind AS 7. Three standards we have done from yesterday. You know now how the classes will be. I'm not doing the concepts from the beginning. So if you're expecting the revision classes, if you're expecting conceptual classes, this is not the place. If you know it already, you can upgrade yourself with the latest problems. Along with that, you might learn some concepts here and there, but these are not for conceptual purpose. If you want to learn the concepts in a summary manner, I have done RPL revision lectures. It is available in my YouTube channel only. You can search for it. Every day I've done about 10 days, I think I've done. You can watch it. That will have the basic theoretical concepts. Then if you come to these problems, maybe you'll be able to handle it better. And which order I'm going to do, I told you all the earlier, but I'm going to do once more. So this one unit we have completed, one chapter on presentation of financial statements. My next target will be consolidation. I know in the study material, it comes towards the end, but I would like to do the study, consolidation always first. That's my approach in my regular classes also. So our next target will be consolidation. So please prepare yourself with consolidation basics. We will be doing lot of theory questions because lot of theory questions are added in the study material. Like what is investment entity, whether control is established, what is relevant activity, and a lot of theory questions we will be doing it. Along with that, you'll understand theory questions and problems also we will do in my format. I'll follow. So please make sure you learn the basics of consolidation before you take up the tomorrow's class. So next target will be consolidation. Then we will have the uh, business combination, then financial instruments, then I'll come before you study metal. Very good. So that's the intention of these sessions, to reach out to people. So that's it for today. Tomorrow we'll meet at again 7 o'clock, and tomorrow our target will be starting from consolidation. How many days for consolidation? I really don't know. Let me take a look at it. It has about, if I want to complete index 110 has got some 30 problems. Index 111 has got some 40 problems. Index 28 has got some 16 problems. Looks like not less than a week at least. I think seven days at least I need to spend to cover all these problems. I think 1 week maybe we'll be spending on consolidation. If it goes earlier, good. But I think it will take around 6 to 7 days is my estimation. Okay, so that's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow at same time, 7 o'clock. Please be prepared with consolidation. We'll start from that. Till then, take care. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.